Resume. Go ahead and open up resume writing. Go ahead and open up the PowerPoint. It says Resume PowerPoint. Also open up your resume rubric, as well as the one right below it that says Recommended Information for Resume. Just get those open. I'm not asking you to look through them yet. And you can follow along with me as I direct you between the different files. We're going to start off with the PowerPoint, your resume PowerPoint. With your PowerPoint, with your resume, you can use it for various things. Okay, obviously for jobs, internships are things, and resumes. And of course, there are exceptions to whatever I tell you, but for the most part, resumes don't win you a job. Okay, resumes are simply kind of a filtering out the weak links for an opening. Okay. We had a teaching opening position, 50 people applied. Are they going to hold 50 interviews? Good golly, that'd be crazy. So they use the resumes to start sifting through and separating. Like these people, no thank you. These people, okay, maybe we'll call them in. Or now that we have this other pile, now we really go through with a fine-tooth comb and figure out who we want to talk to and who we don't. Ultimately, breaking it down to bare bones, a resume is your ability to sell yourself. You're a salesperson. You are selling me that I should hire you for this one position over everybody else. Okay? And your ability or inability to fill out the resume is going to help make that choice. Okay? The goal is that interview. Yes, the ultimate goal is to obtain that position, internship, job, whatever. Okay? But you need an interview, or you need to get to that next level, maybe, which is a phone interview before you come in and do a face-to-face. Everybody's different, okay? Everybody's different. So, what does a resume look like? Okay, there are several different steps to it. Resume writing, while it's the shortest amount of your required writing skills, okay, so it's an easy one to start off with, it's kind of complex. It's a simple / complex. It's kind of like an oxymoron. Okay. So we see the heading here. The things you include: your name, address, really your contact information. Okay, so they get back to you. There isn't a standard. Everything has to be 0.5 inches from the inside and outside. It isn't a research paper. Okay, you can be creative with it, and I'll show you some examples in a little bit how graphically they can make it different. You're going to have some time in the next few days to really kind of refine your resume, and I think you will find out that you will spend as much time or more time making your resume look good than spending time writing it. Because really, a resume, you just list stuff. Okay, and I'll show you that in a minute. But then there's an opportunity for your ability to convey, what you want about yourself. But ultimately, on your contact information, yes, your address, phone number, good. Nowadays, this generation and such, the email address is pretty important. Okay, they might be able to contact you through email. That way, they don't have to talk to you. It's a lot quicker than Maybe they could send an email out to the 20 people they do want to interview, and they can do one email to all 20. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't had to do this before. As opposed to 20 phone calls and 20 messages and then return phone calls. It's just easier. Here's something that you guys might think is silly. How many of you have an email address? Is your email address something besides just initials and numbers? Do you have some funny name like Fuzzy Pink Slippers 24 at yahoo.com? That would be so awkward if somebody had that exact email address. And that is not my email address. But, professionalism. Would you lose your job because you have Fuzzy Bunny Slippers 24 at yahoo.com? Would you lose it? Probably not. But, remember, you're not winning your job here. You don't win a job here, but you can lose it. How about you try to get something a little bit more professional? Maybe the initials and numbers. Yeah, that's a nice safe thing. So if you like Fuzzy Bunny Slippers, maybe FBS 24. then you can be mysterious when they ask you, what does it mean? You can, well, you don't know. You can come up with something really silly if you wanted to. But the point is, professionalism. Professionalism. So those wonderful email addresses that you've had since you were 12 years old, you might want to come up with a new one. Okay? Just a plain new one. Just a suggestion. The first thing you come up with after your heading, this is where you do most of your writing in your resume. Okay? And I don't consider typing as writing. This is the most creative element, the objective. And what you do in this situation is you describe the position you're looking for. You do not want something generic. Go, if there's a teacher opening, I want to be a high school teacher. Wow. Way to separate yourself from the other 4 or 5 dozen applicants that we've got. You see how easy it is to separate, the weaklings, thin the herd. Okay, so you need to be very cautious about that. And I will show you some examples in a little bit about what a good objective looks like. This is your opportunity to truly personalize it and help yourself stand out. Because ultimately, remember, you are selling yourself. You need to convey to them that I am worthy of your time for an interview. Okay? You will not be sorry. That's what you need to convey. Okay? And then ultimately, keep your goal narrow, focused. You don't want to be crazy, elaborative. You want to save a lot of that for the interview. Resumes are only 1 page long. Not 1.5, not 1 1/4, not one with 1 sentence on the next page so you can have it stapled and make it look like you're special. It's 1 page. If we have 100 people for a job, they have 100 pieces of paper. No. What if you give them a book? They're not going to take the time. It's 1 page. Okay? 1 page. And like I've said many times, sell yourself. This is where you do it. You need to tell them what you want. Here's an example. Seeking a challenging position with a future-oriented company offering opportunities for growth and advancement. That probably sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Doesn't it? There's a lot of big words there. You'd be proud of yourself if you were able to write that out without spell check. You'd be proud. I know you. Not really, but you get the drift. But you think about it. Doesn't that look really vague? Doesn't that look very just basic and open? The answer is yes. Okay? You want to be more focused. Look at the follow-up. Dynamic public speaker and presenter. Notice that's what I am. That's a skill that I'm showcasing right off the bat. Now, that's who I am. What do I want? And that's what I want, and I have an advanced technical knowledge, but I'm seeking to leverage my strengths as an award-winning computer instructor into an entry-level software sales position. You see, I'm selling myself really well. You got to see these different skills, and oh, I'm award-winning as well. Not just am I capable of sales, but I'm showing you that I can do what I say. Okay? What do you put next? Okay, well, I probably wants to see what you know and where you got it from. Okay? Are you homeschooled? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Or did you get a degree from some, preparatory school that has a wonderful distinction? I might rate you differently if you have one or the other. I don't know. It depends how you sell yourself. And so listing your education, you start with the most recent. Now, you guys were 18-year-olds, 17, 18-year-olds. You probably don't have too much experience. Okay? I doubt you jumped around too much. Some of you, maybe. But this is mostly for a post-college graduate. Okay? It shows that I have my college degree or I'm in college. It shows that I have my high school degree or GED. And that's really it. You don't do middle schools. You don't do elementaries. Okay? It's just everybody passes middle school. Everybody passes elementary. Eventually, right? Maybe there's some crazy extenuating circumstances. But not everybody passes high school, as we're well aware. Okay? So this is a way for postgraduate employment opportunities to look and see, how did you do? You did pass. Good. That's what I want to know. Good. You did have your bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. Some sort of certification. This is where we can see it. And you want to list that. Okay? Put the date graduated, or if you're still in that school, your current enrollment. when we write our resume here pretty shortly, you're going to be focusing on some sort of job that you want to get, or some sort of internship, something. I want to help make this for you. Last year I had 4 to 5 students that used their materials from this unit, their resume or essay, for college acceptance. Some kid the last day of school said, "I got a job! I used my resume from the first semester." I said, "Did you have to tweak it?" "Well, all I had to do was change it that I am a college graduate now." I'm like, awesome. Okay? So I want to help you with that. Some of you said that you already have your resumes. Wonderful. That's a good starting point. How does it look? Can you remember what it looks like? Is it following the parameters that I'm laying forth here? You probably need to revise it to some degree, and that's fine. It's no problem. Because remember, writing is all about revision. Okay? It's never done. You just run out of time, and you have to get it in before the deadline. With the GPA, put the GPA in if you have a 3.0, which is a B, or higher. Okay? If you are less than that, do not put it on there. Okay? If you have a D GPA, is that a good thing to put on this thing that's trying to sell you as being perfect for this job? Unless mommy and daddy are conducting the interview, I'd probably leave it off. If you get an interview, they might say, I didn't see your GPA on here. Well, what did you get? Or maybe they'll ask for a transcript down the road. And if that comes, fine. But remember, your goal isn't the job. What's your goal right now? Is the interview. Okay? You need to have the confidence. You need to sell yourself. If I can just get an interview, that's my goal, and then I can refocus, now I need that job. Okay? And once they meet me, even if I had a 2.1 GPA, they know that I will be perfect for that job. Because school, guys, school isn't for everybody, is it? Yeah. How many stories have you heard of people that don't even graduate high school because they go on to succeed in whatever? There are teenagers developing apps. Formerly Community Schools had a kid, did you read this? Developed an app for free, and then they ended up paying him for it. They just did it for fun. Formerly Community has an app now where they can get all of this information and people can get it on their phones or whatever, their pads. That kid probably did that, well, of course, he probably learned some of the traits in school, but he did that all on his own. And all you have to do is have one big app to sell a lot if you make money on it, and that could further your cause. And so it's possible. You've got to get in that interview and then sell yourself why if it gets brought up, why you weren't the best student here for whatever reason. It's all in the wording. Okay. Next, after your education, honors. Okay, certain things that you've won. You know, man, I got a participation ribbon. That's about all I got. How can you put that in there? How can you write it up where it looks like it's benefiting and making you more whatever? Maybe you're a 4-year volunteer somewhere. Okay? You think that might be nice, depending on what the situation is? Well, yeah, you're not selfish. You're offering your time, your services. You're trying to better yourself. Okay? You can spin this no matter what. Okay? You just got to get the opportunity. So what are some of the things? Okay? The transferable. How can I take this skill, this honor, and apply it to this job? If I'm applying for a salesman position, do you think I should mention how I was the top Girl Scout sales cookie person 3 years in a row? You think that's relevant? Man, you're a kid. That doesn't... No, think about it. Is there some transferable traits from that to some sort of job in sales? Yeah. And especially since you were at a younger age. And we're ignoring the fact that mommy and daddy probably took your, did all the work. We'll just push that to the side. Okay? Let's assume that you, or actually I'm talking about myself, I'm the top salesman of Fort Wayne for Girl Scout cookies. What traits? What skills? And then put that into words. Okay? Activities. What are some different activities, different things that you've done that, could transfer as well? But also, this helps me, the interviewer, know a little bit about you. If I'm a lawyer, okay, and I'm hiring in new lawyers, and everybody's top shelf, the top of their class, blah, blah. Well, how am I going to figure out on paper if they're going to fit or not, or if I want to interview them? Well, let's see what kind of a person they are. What do they do? Do they have any activities? No, I was #1 in my class in college, and I did not. I studied for 4 years, well, 6, 8 years. I did nothing. Okay, well, this person might not have people skills. They might not know how to relax. Okay, this person might not, we're pretty laid back here, and we like to go out afterwards and blah, blah. They might not fit in. And if I have everybody's top shelf, then I might have to put that person on the side burner. If I have somebody that says, you know, I like to read, but I also like going to the beach on the weekends. You know, maybe I like to play chess. I like to play poker. Do you think that there's some sort of skills involved in poker and chess that could be applicable to lawyering? Yeah. Okay. Maybe if there's a salesman or some sort of public relations type position, and you say, I enjoy doing community theater. You know, I have won acting awards. I try to do 1 or 2 shows a year. Does that tell you anything about that person? Typically, actors might be a little bit more outgoing, but they don't have a problem getting in front of crowds, maybe singing, you know, that type of thing. Surely there are some skills that could translate back and forth, and you can network with them. So, of course, the activities, they might seem stupid to you. I mean, don't put down illegal things. I like to underage drink on the weekends. When you're 15, yeah, bad idea. Obviously, you want to sell yourself. And so, think about this stuff. And looking up at what's required, a lot of this stuff is just listing. It's just listing certain things that you've done or things that you've accomplished. Okay? The main writing deals with the objective at the top, as we saw in the example. And then I think it's last is the work experience. Much like your education, your listing. Okay? You have your name of organization, put the date that you were there, as well as the contact name and titles. What were your duties? What were your responsibilities? Because remember, I might not give you an interview. Don't think, well, I'll just put this and I'll tell them later. You might not get an interview. So you need to tell me. And remember, be positive about it. We want to showcase it. Now, if you've had 5 jobs in 3 years, is that a good thing? No. And it doesn't matter if you've been fired or not. 5 jobs in 3, and even if they didn't overlap, they were just one after the other, shows me you can't hold down a job. Why would I hire you if you can't, if you leave every 3 months? Why would I put in my time and money to train you when you just leave? Okay, so if you've never thought about that, you want to hold on to jobs for a long time, even if you hate it. Guys, even if you hate your job, realize this is just high school. Okay? This isn't a career, but stick it out. Does that make sense? That's my advice for the day. Write that down. Okay. And then don't explain why you left. Don't list 5 jobs and put asterisks next to 3 of them with a legend that says, I got fired from these 3. Whoa. Bad idea. Okay, if it's brought up later on in your interview, that's something we talk about down the road in interviewing skills. Okay, we're talking about resumes now. Here's an example of your work experience where you list underneath the job. What do you do? Well, the top one, I was responsible for troubleshooting and maintaining workstations and systems. Okay, well that's probably what you did. Great, but how can we make this sound better? Let's put in some stats. And guys, I understand you're 17, 18. And you don't have any work experience yet, I understand that. But we're going to try to figure something out for you. Okay? Those of you that have babysat, do you think you should put that on there? I have 2 kids, so I know what it takes to deal with kids. You betcha. Can you figure out some skills? Okay? Management. Patience. That's huge. Especially if you're going into customer service. Okay? It's big, trust me. Doesn't matter that you were 12 when you did it. Okay? So, just some example there about work experience. And then ultimately references. This is, if I'm looking at the paper and I've got it whittled down to 5, and I'm like, okay, let me call these references, if you put them on there. Maybe I can figure out and then just interview 2 of them. So you want to figure out people who could speak kindly of you. Okay? You want 2 different kinds. You want professional, because I want to find out what you were like on the previous job, or somebody that can speak about your non-school life. But I want somebody that's character. Maybe if there was a neighbor that you helped out or a volunteer in someplace, or a youth pastor, somebody that you've done a lot of stuff at your church. You see how those would be good character building people? You don't want to put the person who scored you cigarettes when you were 15. You know what I mean? Your best friend Jason's older brother, I'm going to put him down because he scored us all of this stuff. That's a horrible idea. Besides you breaking the law, you're going to break the law. But you don't want to put that down. I think these are obvious. And my examples tend to be extreme to prove a point. Okay? You want somebody who could speak kindly, because we are selling ourselves, right? That's the main thing. You don't want felons. Okay, other info to think about. Okay, don't use personal pronouns. Some basic things. You are not required to specify some of these basic things that are used, in legal worlds for discrimination. Age, sex, women if you're pregnant, you don't have to put that down. Okay, sexual orientation, whether you're straight or gay or whatever, you don't have to put that down. Okay, they're not to ask you about that, even in interviews. And if they do and you don't get the job, you think you have a lawsuit? Yeah. Will you win? No, it's going to be hard to prove it, but you never know. It depends on the situation. Okay? You hear about that. Discrimination lawsuits is a terminology. Okay? Some other things to put in. Put in some industry buzzwords. For education right now, it's bringing technology into the classroom. Collaboration. Okay? Group work. Rigor. You may have heard of that word before. Standard-based instruction, which is what we talk about, our learning targets and standards. So putting in those things would probably be wiser than saying, I like kids. I'm good in front of a classroom. You know what I mean? That's how you differentiate yourself from other people. And that's big. So those are some keywords and such. And then ultimately proofread. Now let's look at a couple of examples. Each of these examples are different. Some of them don't have all of the same categories, and yours will look different. But I want to show you now more about formatting. Because like I said, you'll spend as much time formatting as you will writing it. Okay, or more so. And so we see at the very top, we have all the name. That's it. Name and all that contact information. Look at how they spaced it out. You can do that. That's easy. Okay, look at that page. It's white with black font. No crazy colors, nothing. Very simple, very clean. And in the right situation, it's probably perfect. Okay? You can see how the education they start right off with. They have their experience listed. It's not just the dates, and it's not just the company, but it's what did he do there? What was he responsible for? Certain coursework. These are the type of classes I've taken that I think are applicable to this job or internship or whatever. And ultimately ending down with honors and activities, which tells a little bit more about this person. Because probably this job is going to have, this guy's name's Derek. There's probably going to be 50 Dereks. Okay, not really the same name, but 50 people that are very similar, that had pretty much the same coursework. So you have to set yourself apart with the experience, but also with your skills down at the bottom and your activities. The second one here, notice how the top looks a little bit different. Okay, the graphic design and layout. Is this any better than the other? I don't know, it just looks different. Do you think there's some benefit in having your resume look different than everybody else?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Okay, if you can draw them in visually, and you're already separating yourself apart from everybody else, they haven't even started to read your paper yet. And this is where it can really benefit you. So we see it broken down on the left. Look at the bullet points. Okay, this person has a little bit more text and typing than others, but look at what they're listing. Look at some of those things underneath sales. And it's a sales job. You have to deal with other people and the customers. So what customer service experience do you have? Perfect. That's a way to sell yourself. Okay? The next one. Looking for a graphic designer position. Do you think this type of resume or Derek's resume from the beginning would be better suited for somebody seeking a computer job? graphic design? This one. Probably this one. Okay? And instead of burying all of the traits and skills that they have in a paragraph or bullets, look at how they showcase them along the left-hand side. Do you see how that works out? Is this really hard to do? You guys, I'm sure, can manipulate columns, can't you? Put in a picture, relevant picture. Formatting, I could do that in probably 3 minutes. Not very hard. Okay? Not very hard. But what type of stuff does he put in there then? We have the employment history at the bottom. Qualification, summary. That's the sales point or points. Okay, look at what he says. Look at what he does. Okay? That's the end of the PowerPoint. But while we're here, I want you to look at the list of requirements. Okay? The categories that you need. This is for yours that you're creating. If you want to put in more of them, great, but I want these. Your objective, your education, and your experience. But that's minimum what I want. And some of you should probably put in more than that. Especially if you barely have anything to fill some of that. Your resume, once I let you go here in a second. Okay, your resume, I want you to think into the future. Those of you that have jobs, what's the next job that you want? Those that don't have a job, are you going to get a job? Maybe when the football season's done, or wait until you're 18, then you're going to get a job. Think about what kind of job do you want. Do you want fast food? Do you want retail? Figure it out. And I want that to be the subject of this resume so that we can create one for you. If it's some sort of internship, come up with that. Okay? But figure out an objective. Figure that out. And that might be something you think about before the next class. Okay? And you can think and write your objective at that point. But your education, pretty basic. I don't think you need to put in your elementary and middle schools, but you want your high school in there. Okay? Your high school. And that is ongoing, obviously. Somebody in the other period said, well, I want to use this in the summer for this job, but I'll have to be graduated from high school. I said, well, just make it like you are graduated, or that you are graduating on whatever date in June, okay, that you guys all know and are counting down to. Categories you might want to put in, you know, volunteer experience, relevant skills we talked about, hobbies and interests. I should probably put that up in that top section of required, because that tells people about you. Okay, so maybe that's something to include. Remember, this is only one page. Okay, if you want put in all those categories, then you're like, okay, well, I'm 2 pages. Okay, then I need to do some trimming. Then I need to work on my word choice and be more precise with my terminology, and so that you're not, you know, huge elaborate sentences. Maybe more bullet points. Okay, maybe your formatting will allow you to fit in more information and keeping it on one page. Okay. The last thing I'd like to show you is the rubric. Your rubrics, there are rubrics for every type of writing in this class. Okay? It's very important that you look this over. It's very important that you look over all the rubrics. I'm not saying spend 20 minutes, but take time to look, focus on one column, and look at how it changes between 2s and 3s, or rows. Okay? For voice, or word choice, your ideas. Between 2 and 3, it's only a couple word difference. Okay? It's a couple words. Between 3 and 4, if you notice, good, solid, those are 3s. What are 4s? Excellent. Wonderful. Okay? If you feel that you're a good writer and you meet all the requirements, good, you did a nice job. That's 3. That's a 3. Good job. Good for you. You need to get a 4. You need to go above. For word choice, you need to be above good. You need to stand out, and that's 4. 4 is excellent. Okay? So if you need to fix grades to this, a 4 is an A. A B, which is good, is a 3. A 2, average. C. You did okay. It can be better, but there's some things we need to work on. That's a C. And then a 1 is a D, where it's just like, you really have a lot to work on in this category. It was very, very minimal and very, very basic. Okay? So that's the mindset, and we will spend a lot of time peer reviewing other people's work and giving grades based on the rubric. You will do a lot of self-revision and self-assessment and say, at this point, Mr. Algemeyer, I actually have a 2 on this one, or I think I have a couple 3s and a 2. Why do you think you have a 2? Well, because it's good. Now let's focus on that. In this next revision, let's focus on bringing that up. Okay? And we just work and focus on 1 or 2 little elements, and you will see yourself jumping up whole points or 2 points throughout this semester. So familiarize yourself with the rubrics. Again, you don't need to memorize them, but I would always look them over before you ever submit something, and probably during the revision phase, pull these up. Okay?